Good news, everyone. I checked with a lawyer, and the statute of limitations is up. If you didn't know this about me, I have a real problem with authority, just in general. It's written into every single official job report I've ever gotten. So in the late 90s, my friends and I all lived downtown. I lived right around the corner here. They lived there. We all lived within 2 blocks of each other, and we had a pretend gang. And we called ourselves the 2-block crew, and we got into general hooliganism and, trespassing, that sort of thing. We never really did anything to anyone's private property because that would be rude and non-neighborly. So we just, went urban exploring. And one friend in particular lived 1 block away. I lived at 50 West Philadelphia. He lived at 50 East Philadelphia. And, over the years, we've gotten into all of these adventures that we went on. Drunken escapades, perhaps, would be better. So we worked really hard and we partied really hard. We started the creek cleanup. We got that going, and we probably single-handedly financed the first expansion to the White Rose in the meantime. You're welcome, Tom. So in the midst of all this, the one night, and it must have been, a weeknight because there was only 4 of us, and my now husband and my best friend and our roommate, Tall Gary, were around the corner in the apartment. And my best friend goes, I've never done any kind of, misdemeanor or petty theft or anything like that. And us, we were like, well, we have to fix that, right now. Let's go get the tools. So we got the tools, and we went outside, and we wandered around a little bit, but not very far. Who came through Cherry Lane tonight? Anyone walk through Cherry Lane tonight? Anyone? A couple people? Well, so you may know that in Cherry Lane there is a very large and ornate sign. It's carved, it says Cherry Lane, it's beautifully painted and very big. Does anyone remember when it was not here? And I'm not talking about before they put it in, I meant that for about 10 years it wasn't there. Because that night we took the sign off the posts, ran down the alley, and went and knocked on Joe's house at 50 East Philadelphia Street. Joe used to have pizzas delivered to our house at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, which is a very bad time for people who like to party to have a pizza delivered, unless you're still awake from the night before. So, and I would do things like send him adult hygiene samples that were free on the TV when I saw them at night on TV. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll send that to Joe. So we knock on Joe's door and we were like, hey man, we brought you a present. Open up the door, lets us in. He's like, I was sleeping. What's going on? I was like, we brought you this. So the 4 of us have this giant sign. It's like this big. And we give it to him. And, it was just a funny thing that happened. He used it as a headboard for many years. So fast forward 10 years, we have careers, we're responsible adults, I had children. I had a stand in the market, which many of you may know me from. And Joe's graduating from college, and we get invited to his graduation party, and we go there with our 1-year-old son, and we get there, and it's at his mom's house. And the first words out of his mouth were, Mom says you have to get that damn sign out of the garage before I leave for California. And we're like, what sign? What are you even talking about? And he took us in the garage and he showed us the giant Cherry Lane sign. And we're like, oh, shit. We forgot all about that. Turns out that when Joe moved out of his apartment and the new tenant was moving in, he said, "You can't leave this here." And Joe's like, "Okay." And he drags it up to his mom's garage. And now Joe's getting ready, he's graduated college, he's getting ready to move to California. And his mom doesn't want it in the garage anymore. So we put it in the back of the car. After the party, we put our kid in the car with the sign, and we're like, what the fuck are we gonna do with the sign? We can't take it home. We can't drive around town with our son and this sign. So on the way home, we pulled into Cherry Lane, and we leaned the sign up against the post. Which, by the way, we're still there 10 years later. Went home, woke up, went to market the next morning. My husband dropped me off, and I went in, and he went to park the car. He came in a few minutes later, and he goes, "So the sign's still there. I'm starting to get a little nervous. Some other idiots are going to come by and steal this sign." So he went and found the market master, and he was like, "Hey, do you remember that Cherry Lane sign that used to be out there? It's been missing." "Well, it's there." And he took him out, and he showed it, the market master, the sign, and they hung it back up the next day, and it's been there ever since. And that is the full circle story of my hooligan youth and the Cherry Lane sign. Thank you.